Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. Today we'll discuss a shaila as it's brought in Minchas Yitzchak from Dayan Weiss, Chelik Gimel, Simen Kuf Chav Tes, which is actually very important to the bigger Jewish communities, where there are the ma and pop shops, on the smaller shops, and after many years, we had a small grocery or a small clothing store, a big chain store moves in not too far, and the question is there, I know we're all looking for sales, looking for cheaper items, and perhaps the chain stores are able to, because of the large quantities of how they buy things, they're able to give them much lower prices or lower prices. Is there an Indian halachic perspective of supporting the Yiddish owners? Now, not only to support the Shchuna, obviously, that the Shchuna should have growth. Those are separate issue. We're talking about specifically, is there a halacha angle of where there's a small shop that's owned by a Yid, and that's his parnasa, and a chain store moves in, and you perhaps could get the item cheaper? Should you forgive and forget and just go to the local store and pay perhaps extra, or do what you got to do to save money? This question was asked to Dayan Weiss in Tafshin Yud Tes. Obviously, the problems were happening back then. And a Rav asked him that question based on that it's brought in Toras Kohanim. In Toras Kohanim it says, on the pasuk in Parshas Bahar, V'chi timchru mimkar lamisecha, that when you sell an item to your friend, so it says over there that it should always, the business transactions, buying and selling, preferably should be done by a Yid, by a Yid, to a Yid, from a Yid. And it's brought in Toras Kohanim that perhaps it's understood that even if the Yiddish store owner, because it's a smaller store, it has to have the prices are a little more expensive. So there is an inyan that the timkuru, that the buying and selling should be lamisecha, from a fellow Jew. And that's the question. And based on this Toras Kohanim, so he summarizes it like this, that we see that, first of all, it's taka the Toras Kohanim, but it's not mentioned, not in the Rambam, not in Tur, not in Shulchan Aruch, lahalacha lamaisa. Is it a good thing? Definitely. Is it? Are you showing support for another Yid? Definitely. It's a Eitz Torah for sure. But let's talk about the halachic background. Is it a must, or could I save by traveling to the chain store? So the basis for this is from Shailas Tshuvas Ramah Simen Tes, and there are two basic rayas that you see that a Yid should try to help his Yiddish friend even when it costs him a little more. First of all, we see that by nevela, the Torah says, being that we can't eat nevela, lager asher b'sharecha titnena oy machra l'nachri. You have a choice. Either give it to the ger over here means the one close to a Yid who is able to still eat this. But give it to him or sell it to a guy. And the pasuk clearly states that your first option is to give it as a present to somebody who is closer to you, whereas to the guy you sell it, even though that you're going to lose some small amount of money. How much could you make on this nevela? But you should still, it should first be yitnena legera sheb'sharecha titnena, and plan B. If you don't find that, then you sell it to a guy. So we see this relationship, this care for another Yid. And then there is another place where this could be proven from. The Torah says, Im kesef talva es ami, esa ani imach. The Torah speaks about giving loans. So it says if you gave out a loan to a poor man, es ami, it says you gave a loan to one of our nation, my nation. So the Gemara says The Gemara in Bab Metzia says, Ami va'akum, if a guy needs a loan, and lahavdala yid needs a loan, who should you give the loan to? So the Gemara says, Ami kaidim. Give my people first. What's the chiddush? Obviously you should take care of it. Your own people first. The Gemara asks Pshita, and for the Gemara Umeshani, the Gemara answers, Loi nitzracha afilu la'akum beribis ul Yisrael b'chinam. We know that a yid you're not allowed to charge interest. For a guy, it's a mitzvah to charge interest. So here you have a dilemma. You're about to give a loan of $10,000. To the yid, he'll give it back to you in 6 months or whatever, the same $10,000. And by the guy, it's a business. You can make some money off it. So you might think to yourself, I'm losing money, so I should give the loan to the guy. And over there, I'll gain profit. Says the Gemara that Ami koidim, even though you're going to lose that interest, you have to give the yid first. So these are two examples. Now, Dayan Weiss in this tshuva goes on to debate, is this only when it's a smaller loss? How about even if it's a hefsek meruba? Do I have to go out of my way to support the yid in all these cases? When there's a pretty big loss, I could get it for much cheaper elsewhere, much cheaper. And he says that might be the difference between the Shilas Tshuvas Ramah and the Rajabat. According to Shilas Tshuvas Ramah, even if it's a hefsek meruba, you have to support the yid, and you have to give the yid the loan versus making the money by charging interest to a guy. And according to the Rajabats, it's only if it's a hefsek mu'at. But if it's a hefsek meruba, I don't have to lose a lot of money. Now, then it comes into the question, where's the cutoff point? What's considered a large loss, a big loss, and what's considered a small loss? And we know in Shulchan Aruch, and in Hilchas Shchita, and Hilchas Basa B'cholav, and all these halachas, hefsek meruba comes up quite often, and the common definition of hefsek meruba is based on the individual. For one person, $200 is a hefsek meruba. For another person, $10,000 is a hefsek meruba. So it will depend. So the answer to this question in halacha is up for grabs depending on who the situation and what the situation is. The bottom line is that it's preferable to support the yid even when it's a small loss. Now, could the storekeeper take advantage of that, knowing that they're going to have to come to him? For sure not. But there is another angle. The angle is like this. Even when the store owner, the storekeeper, is setting the price for sale, there's a set of halachas in Shulchan Aruch that says how much profit you're allowed to make on every item. And it's actually categorized into three groups: food, necessities, and there's machshirei oichel nefesh, and then there's luxurious items. Some things you can't overcharge for food because it's a necessity. They need it to survive. So you have to understand that a person, just as it is the shopper's responsibility to try to support the storekeeper, the store owner, but the store owner can't take advantage of that, and the store owner also has to keep his Shulchan Aruch of how much he's allowed to charge. Now, that's the whole angle of just doing business with a yid. If it came into a situation that because of the many people going to the chain stores, the Yiddish storekeeper is partially going to lose his business, then it's partially a shayla of tzedakah. It says clearly, Ki yamuch achicha umata yoda imach. If a person, Nebuch, is losing money, so you should help him. So the Chazal tell us, don't allow it to happen. If you see that he's losing parnasa and it's going to be in a situation of a loss, not just one less customer, but more and more people go to the chain store, he's possibly going to have to close down. There's a chiyuv of a hechzakta boy, of giving him support as a form of tzedakah. Yeshikoyach, and please join us again next week.